Hello everyone, this is Big Al Hoffman Vlogs. Welcome back everyone. Today I'm going to share something with you that I've been thinking about doing for quite some time. Just haven't pulled the plug till now. Today I'm going to share the pros and cons of vlogging in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Hello everyone and welcome to the vlog. I hope everybody out there is having a fantabulous day today. If you're coming across my channel for the first time and you like what you see, please consider subscribing to my channel. It helps me out a lot. I have devised a list of 8 pros and 8 cons of living in Minnesota and vlogging here. I think I'm going to start with the pros and then I'll go after that. I'll go to the cons. Some of the pros are the same as the cons for different reasons. So number 1 on the list of the pros is no one else is doing it. Generally in Minnesota, there's not too many people out here vlogging. So doing a channel here is like going from a clean slate. Nobody really knows what you're doing, but they seem to enjoy what they see in most cases. Number 2 on the list is the fact that we have 4 seasons in here in Minnesota. I feel that it's nice to have a change of scenery every once in a while, so it's not all the same mundane stuff. So it's really nice to have the 4 seasons here in Minneapolis: winter, spring, fall, and summertime. Although I must add, it gets pretty difficult in the winter time, and I will get into that as we get into the cons. And the third pro on this list is the Minnesota nice thing. It is true, a lot of Minnesotans are nice, they're very courteous. On occasion, there's the person that doesn't want to be filmed, but in general cases, people don't really mind being filmed, and they know that people are out there with cameras all the time. A lot of people are only taking pictures. I think a lot of people are open here in Minnesota and try to understand that you're trying to get a point across. And the fourth thing on this list has to do with filming in stores. In most cases, other than the last weekend here, which was the only time that they said I couldn't film in their store, there has not been a business yet, other than that has told me not to film in their store. I know you go to different places in big cities, and they tell you can't film in the store, you can't do this, you can't do that. Well, it's pretty open around here in Minneapolis. Most businesses encourage the advertisement that they get from things like this. And number 5 goes kind of along with the Minnesota nice thing. Minnesotans are generally pretty genuine for the most part. They're pretty open to what you're doing. That kind of goes along with the other. So I don't have too much to say about that. Number 6 on this list is a simple fact that I like to show other people the beauty of Minnesota. There's all kinds of different places in Minnesota, all kinds of different scenery, different cultures, depends on where you're at in Minnesota. And I definitely like to use my channel to show others that do not live around here the beauty of different areas of Minnesota, and encourage people to visit Minnesota that might otherwise not want to visit Minnesota because of the cold, and especially in the winter. I'll get into that in the cons. And number 7 is showing others why I live here, why I like to live here, why us Minnesotans really like where we live. But it takes a person that lives here in Minnesota to understand why we live here and why we like it so much. And number 8 doesn't really have too much to do with actual Minnesota, but it's a big key to my vlogging. My family is so supportive. My wife is very supportive, and my kids like to do this stuff. They like to be on YouTube. They like to be in my videos, and I just want to be able to archive these videos for future purposes. Maybe 10 years down the road, you look back at what everybody was like back then and what I was doing back then. We'll see what happens in 10 years. Don't know what I'll be doing in 10 years, so it's a very nice perk. I do this to entertain others, but I also do it for the archive purposes in the future. And with all that being said, now it's time to get to the cons. The first con I have was the same as the first pro that I had in this list, which is the fact that nobody else is doing it. Now, in my eyes, there's a couple reasons that this is a con. The first reason is the simple fact that people do not videotape stuff around here at all. They generally only take snapshots of everything. There is a place for photography and there is a place for videography. I feel that taking video is a really, really good thing, especially if you have young ones, because then you can see in the future, down the road, you know, 5-10 years later, when they're growing up and they're teenagers, or maybe they moved out of the house, you're going to want to see these archives in the future. And there's a lot of people around here that do not do that, and they don't know how to act in front of the camera. It kind of goes along. There's a couple other things on this list that kind of go along with that. And the second reason is the fact that people really don't have any idea what you're doing. Sometimes they feel a little bit disturbed that you're filming stuff, because of the simple fact that they think you're intruding on them, even though you're not. You can just tell by the look of some people's faces. Sometimes I just wish people would walk up to me and ask me what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. Then I think they would more understand the reason behind what I'm doing. And the second con on this list is the stereotype that Minnesota is always cold. I mean, this kind of goes along with Canada as well. So it's not just Minnesota. I mean, I've heard of people going across the border into Canada and putting their coats on and everything because they think it's going to be instantly cold. Minnesota, yes, it is cold. In the winter time, it's pretty cold, obviously. You can just tell by looking at the weather reports. But Minnesota is not always cold. 3/4 of the year, it's just about as much manageable as any other part of the country is. And because it is cold in the winter here in Minnesota, that brings me to number 3 on the cons list. Phone freezing up in the winter time. Anytime it's below 20 degrees Fahrenheit, especially when it's down close to 0 degrees Fahrenheit, you got a limited time to do your videotaping because of lithium batteries, especially in a phone, even in a camera. They'll freeze up and then you won't be able to use your camera or phone. It's something that's really annoying to me, where it's nice to see the snow and everything like that and be able to film outdoors and everything. It really stinks to have your phone freeze up on you when you're in the middle of something. And then you got to try and warm up your phone and charge it up, because there's a lot of times where I'll still have 60% of my battery left on my phone and it'll freeze up. And then once you get it warmed up again, then it'll be up to about 40%. I mean, the battery's not dead, but the battery gets so cold that it just freezes up and the phone shuts down. And that goes along with cameras as well. Number 4 on my list is the fact that not very many people do vlogging here in Minneapolis. So they don't know how to act in front of the camera. That's the reason that this is a con. They don't know how to act in front of the camera. You get a lot of people like this.
Hi. Okay.
Even friends and family. There's some family that every time you point the camera at them, they're just like that. You know, and they don't know what to do. They don't know what to say. They're worried about what they're going to say. They're worried about what everybody else thinks, and that's why I put that in my outro. And that leads right into number 5, which is getting collaborations. Granted, I've been very fortunate to get Simple Family Life to collaborate with me a couple times. I really like that channel. I feel that I've built a friendship with the creators of Simple Family Life, and that is really nice. The social media can be a very powerful thing, but it is really hard here to get collaborations. It's hard to find people that do YouTube that understand what you're doing enough to collaborate with you, whether it's a business or another channel. And because it's difficult to get collaborations in Minnesota, that brings me to number 6 on the con list, which is getting noticed. It is very hard to get noticed. A lot of people will use collaborations, which is why they're very important, to join 2 audiences together from 2 different channels. And being a vlogger in Minnesota, I feel I miss out on a lot of that stuff. So sometimes I feel that I'm the only one doing it out here, but that doesn't really sway me. I just keep plugging away at what I'm doing. As a result, the channel grows a lot slower, and I do want to share my message to as many people as possible. And number 7 on my list is the fact that people don't understand why we would want to live up here. That is one reason why I started a YouTube channel, why I want a lot of people to see my stuff. I want to show them what it is to live up here and why we like it so much. It kind of goes along with the pro that I had sharing the beauty of Minnesota. But the fact that people don't understand why we would want to live here. There's places in this country that like down in the desert and stuff like that, I would not want to live in. I just wish people would have an open mind toward Minnesota rather than just stereotyping it as a very cold place. And the final con, which is number 8 on my list, is the majority of Minnesotans are very reserved. But there's a lot of them that tend to just want to be in their bubble, and they don't want to go out of their bubble and explore anything more. They got what they want to do, and that's what they're going to do, and they just don't explore other things in general. So in conclusion, the pros were a lot easier for me to come up with than the cons. I kind of was stretching a little bit on some of the cons there, but I wanted it to be even, just to make the video a little more diversified. I guess the main cons for me when it comes to doing a YouTube channel are basically the collaborations and the lack of them. The simple fact that people don't really record very much around here. They just do snapshots of everything. But like I said, photography has its place, but videography definitely has its place as well. If people would explore videography a little bit more and get better at it, they could really make some really nice archives. I hope this video doesn't sway anybody from Minnesota and doesn't make anybody too mad. It was not my intent to make people mad. I'm just sharing my feelings and my pros and cons of living in Minnesota and vlogging here. That is the only thing I'm trying to do. I'm just talking about it from a perspective of a vlogger. So if you can think of any more pros or any more cons, please leave them in the comment section below. Something maybe that I missed that maybe somebody else might be watching that's a vlogger in Minnesota. And by all means, if you're a vlogger in Minnesota, leave a comment in the comment section below. Also, I'll leave my email in the description, and you can send clips of who you are, where you're from. I'll probably feature it in one of my vlogs. Anyway, I think I'm going to end the vlog right here. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. I want to thank everybody for watching this video. And feel free to subscribe if you like what you see here. Make sure you share it, no matter what anyone else thinks. Because that's what makes you you, that's what makes you unique, and that's what makes you stand out. And that's what makes you special. And that's what makes you awesome. So don't be afraid to sign it. And say it with me, passion.